Welcome to the Customer Wins podcast, where business leaders discuss their secrets and techniques for helping their customers succeed and in turn grow their business.
Hey, I'm Rich Walker, the host of the Customer Wins, where I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win and how their focus on customer experience leads to growth. Some of our past guests have included Rick Williamson of Redtail Technology and Blake Wood of Lumient. Today, I'm speaking with Ashtan Moore, co-founder and partner at Model B. And today's episode is brought to you by Quick, the leader in enterprise forms automation. When the last step to earning your client's business requires filling out paperwork, don't ruin a good relationship with a bad experience. Instead, get Quick Forms to make filling out forms a great experience and the easiest part of your transaction. Visit quickforms.com to get started. Oh man, I'm so excited to introduce you.
I need your product. I just had a 12:30 call about needing your product. So that's great.
Well, let's talk more. I think everybody needs to fill out forms better. So let me introduce Ashtan. Ashtan Moore is fervently passionate about growth, especially your growth. From his simple roots as a homeschooled Virginia transplant, Ashtan has failed up into an internationally recognized entrepreneur, investor, and growth advisor. As co-founder and partner at Model B, an AI-powered performance ad agency, he helps growth-minded companies to steadily scale top-line revenue through paid advertising. Aside from his own companies, he volunteers at nonprofits and accelerators that support newer-to-market companies to seasoned entrepreneurs, each on their own unique growth journey. In his career as an entrepreneur, Ashtan has founded 15 companies and sold 2 of them. Today, 7 of these are still active, of which 3 are profitable and the other 4 are pre-revenue, raising capital or new to market. Man, Ashtan, I wish I had that bio. Welcome to the Customer Wins.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here and for the fact that you asked me to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you because, like you, I've started 10 different companies since age 12. I'm an entrepreneur. I love talking to entrepreneurs. And I want to tell you what this is about, because if you haven't heard this podcast before, I talk with business leaders about what they're doing to help their customers win, how they built and deliver a great customer experience, and the challenges to growing their own company. And I'm excited to talk to you today because you're so growth oriented and everybody wants to grow more. But let's understand your business a little bit better. How does your company help people?
Well, so I have a few, but they all have a theme around them, which is growth. My biggest one, my growth agency is what we call it. It's a lot of creative work, strategy work, paid media work, but the outcome is always to grow their top line revenue. Always. And sometimes it's more like it's sometimes it'll be work on the bottom half of the P&L. Maybe it's like infrastructure building, like sales enablement, but the ultimate journey is always like, how do we help you capture more market share? And what's so interesting about that is over time, I've learned to actually take a step back, and which is something I want to talk about a little bit today. Take a step back and ask if their product market fit is right. Like, is what they're selling to people actually providing some sort of value to them? And I'd say the banner would be like, are you building what people want as opposed to what you want? And that's sort of a magic trick in business.
Yeah, the whole engineer mindset of I'm going to build something cool versus the marketing mindset of what are people asking for? And as an entrepreneur, I've told people your first idea is not your best idea. It's just the one that gets you started. But I think that actually speaks to something you said about product market fit. Your first idea may not be the best product market fit. So how do you help companies or entrepreneurs figure that out?
So that's usually that's where I coach. So I charge no money for that. That's free because I do it through nonprofits like the Entrepreneurs Organizations Accelerator Program, excuse me, which is global. There are accelerators all around the country. It's very affordable, a couple G's a year. Then there's also, so in EOA is what they call it. I coach usually cash flowing companies. So that would be like agencies, lawn care companies to services companies. Basically, they're services companies by and large. So they don't really need to raise capital. But I also coach, and this is the one that needs to think about product market fit even more. I also coach funded fast growth companies. And that's when, founders are like, I'm going to build a product like quick forms, and I'm going to scale it up, and I'm going to sell 1,000 licenses. I'm going to help 1,000 people. But usually with those, you need to get funding. And so it's actually even, it's a much higher priority to make sure that you are asking people what they want, because if you don't and you build the wrong thing, you've just burnt, $500,000, $2 million. Friends and family, I think averages 500K. I think pre-seed is like $1 million, like seed is like $2+ million. It's like, do you want to spend all that money on nothing because you didn't ask people how you can help them with your product? I think that's a little crazy to do.
Yeah, no, that's a really difficult thing to do. And I've seen companies burn a lot of money, but is that really the secret? You just have to ask them what you want to do with the product?
Just ask. It's the easiest thing in the world. So I'll tell you a little story, and I won't name the group, although you could guess it was either one or the other. But I shared a bunch of feedback with a founder who gave me his deck the other week. And so he booked office hours with me, and it was a half-hour office hour call. And he spent the first 20 minutes. And my man, I really hope I didn't come off the wrong way if you listen to this. I'm really just trying to help. But he spent the first 20 minutes telling me why I was wrong. And I was like, no, this isn't me. I don't know if anybody wants this. What I'm saying is, you haven't asked anybody. And he's like, well, he said he talked to friends, family, and they all said it was a good idea. He said he talked to like people at his son's soccer games. And I was like, how many people have you asked? He was like, a bunch. I was like, how many people have you surveyed? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, how many people who will use your thing have you sat down with and had a coffee or given them a survey? And he was like, okay, well, when you put it that way, none. And I was just like, why? It's free. You just ask. It's free. Think about saving all the time building the wrong product and all the money and marketing. Your average like seed bound, like go to market is like, for marketing is like $1 million. Like, so if you're spending $1 million to show ads to somebody for something they don't want, Rich, what do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to buy it?
No, they'll ignore it. They'll move on.
And they'll be annoyed at you too. They'll be like, what?
Yeah.
Why is this brand trying to sell me something that I would never use ever? But you can ask. It's free. In fact, here you go, everybody. You can stop listening to the podcast right now. If you go to surveymonkey.com, I'm not an equity holder in that company, but if you go to surveymonkey.com, like a few bucks, you can make a survey and ask real live people what they want. So for like 5 Gs, you could ask like, I don't know what, like 500 people, whether or not they'll want your stuff. And then you'll save $1 million. But he came after me. He was like, I'm absolutely certain this is a good product and a good idea. I tried to story tell. I was like, okay, so my bar is one of the most popular bars in Washington, D.C. Ask me why, Rich.
Hey, why is your bar so popular?
Because we surveyed 100 people in Washington, D.C., and we asked them what they wanted before we ever spent $1 on anything. And what we did is we weighted the things of what they wanted the most, and then we made it for them. And now, we're doing, I don't know if I'm allowed to share numbers, but let's just say it's mailbox money for me every single month because people love it, because I built what they wanted. We can all do that.
What you're saying is super, super important, yet I don't know if it's really taught to go do that. It's a skill in a sense of asking people and getting the surveys, but there's also, as an entrepreneur, there's a trepidation, a fear. So I'll tell you, for example, I'm working on a product right now that I intend to release by September 1st. And we've been working on it since January. It's in development. And what I did is I went and talked to people at trade shows, and anytime I was talking to a prospective customer or in person with an actual customer, and I sensed that this might be a good fit, I started asking them. And what I did is I asked a lot of different styles of companies, different segments of my market, as well as sizes, big to small, just to see what their engagement might be on this topic. So I want to ask you, is it good enough if somebody just says, I'm interested? Or do you need them to say, I would pay money for that? What do you need to hear from them to say, this is a good idea and good fit?
You should read every book ever written by Alberto Saviola. I'm obsessed with him, and he knows this because I comment on all of his posts on LinkedIn, and I message him, and I try to make him be a part of my life. And by the way, he's been wildly helpful. He gave me all these slides for presentations for the accelerators and the incubators and all the places I volunteer. But he's amazing. But my favorite book by him is The Right It. And basically he says, if there's no skin in the game, it doesn't count. So if you wanna get more advanced, I mean, really just start by asking, please, because so many people skip that step. But what next? Ask them if they'll give you their email. Like, can I have your email and put you on my mailing list for when we launch? Or build a Shopify site and let people actually like click through and try to buy it. Like, see if they add it to the cart, and then like apologize profusely when you have to email them and tell them that it's out of stock and or doesn't exist. Like, probably don't do that one. But I think one of Alberto Saviola's stories is that there was a founder who would take his product and it was something that IKEA could sell, and he would put it on the shelf at IKEA with a fake price tag and watch to see if people brought it to a register. Like, there's so many ways, like, and they're all in Alberto's books, but we don't do that. It's like, and sorry, some of us do, but the ones who are wildly successful, let's come at it from a different angle. Have you ever been fired, Rich?
Yeah, I'm.
What did you do?
Well, aside from crying in my car from shame, I went and found another job, moved on.
Oh, so that's a little different. Have you ever been fired by a client?
Oh, fired by a client? Yeah, I mean, we've had customers say, we're not going to use your services anymore. And I boil it down to the core reasons why they do that. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's move on. No problem.
Do you ask them why?
Always. And that's why I say, I know the core reasons why they're not going to work with us anymore. And for us, it comes down to, they got acquired by a firm that doesn't use our service. They don't do it anymore. Two, they go out of business. Unfortunately, I've seen that. And the third one is, I think they graduated, like they finished high school. They no longer actually do forms. Everything's digital. And I say, congratulations, you made it. You don't need me anymore. That's an amazing accomplishment.
So I can't stand getting fired. I curl up into a little ball and I cry for hours, but then I shake my ego off and I march into the client's inbox or the text and I go, hey, you hurt me a great. No, just kidding. I don't say you hurt me, but why did you hurt me? Unfortunately, we don't get fired often anymore. Usually it's when a CMO moves, something like that. But I go, hey, like, can I have 15 minutes of your time? I just want to talk through how we could do it better, like, next time. And that's great. So like, it's almost like the silver lining. Like, every time a client fires you or a customer quits or whatever, it's the golden opportunity to go and learn how you can be better next time. It's constant improvement. And then if you constantly improve and you constantly outpace your competitors who hopefully aren't doing that, although they should too, what you're really doing is you're helping people. Like, I love entrepreneurship because I feel like entrepreneurs build communities, which we call companies, that align people around a common goal of doing one thing, which is helping people. Isn't that so cool?
I think it's the best thing. I think humans are by nature, at our core, dependent on each other. It's very, very hard to live a life of solitude with no other humans around you. So therefore, you have to help each other. In fact, I started changing my way of introducing myself when I talk to people at social events. I don't ask people what they do. I say, how do you help people? Because it's just more important to understand what their passion is for what they're doing.
You know, another great party trick is, what's one thing in the world that you can change? And I go, whoa.
Nice.
You can have that. That's another gift. Survey Monkey.
So Ashtan, let me ask you a question, because you've been a serial entrepreneur. What made you say I had to be an entrepreneur? What was your first company? What got you started?
Yeah, so I grew up helping people, which is so nice. I grew up watching my parents try to help everybody they met. And at 15, I set off to go figure out how to help even more people. And I ended up having I didn't even get my high school diploma because I moved from Ohio, where they liked homeschooled kids back then when I was supposed to graduate. I moved to West Virginia and they were like, no, you don't get a GED until you're 18. And I was like, okay, I'm never coming back to this office. Um, so I didn't know what to do. Didn't really know how to get a job, what a job was, had no experience. So I started coming to DC and I ended up, Washington, DC was the closest major city. I ended up cleaning carpets for money, which is helping people. I ended up bartending, which I still love to this day. Do you know how good it feels to hand somebody a drink, Rich?
A few times, yeah.
Ah, it's so good. It makes you warm and fuzzy. And what else did I do? I dealt poker. I'm not sure how much that was helping, but they loved a great experience. So what else? I packed warehouses, and that's actually where my first company came from. I did like CRM and help desk and IT and email for this catering company that realized I was their, bartender for the events, like stock their trucks, unpack their trucks. And I'll sort of bring this to a close in a minute, saying something I think is really funny, but they saw that I was really good with computers. Like they'd be like, "Hey, will you fix my computer?" Like somebody had a computer issue, and I grew up on computers. Obviously, my older brother and I, Warner Moore, who runs a cybersecurity company called Gamma Force now. You're welcome, Warner. He call him if you need cybersecurity support, gammaforce.io. But he'd always be building computers and I'd always be playing outside. But every now and again, he'd convince me to come and like work on his bulletin board system with him, or, build this or build that. And so I had a knack for it because I grew up with him. And if somebody's laptop broke, I'd be like, no problem, hang on. I'd be like, okay, it's a hardware thing. We have to call Dell. Like you need a new connector. I'd be like, oh, we just need to wipe the OS, like, because this is completely bricked. But if we do a factory reset, yada, yada, yada. So they ended up hiring me when I was like 19 as their IT director, which is crazy to me. I didn't know what I was doing, but I bought so many books, it didn't matter. I bought like a list of books waist high and called my brother Terrified. I was like, hey, can I do this job? They're offering me like crazy amount of money compared to what I normally make. And he was like, I'll help. I was like, cool. So he was like my on-call guy. And I parlayed that into my first client over a couple of years. So I started my first company when I was 21 as an IT sort of help desk support company, somehow parlayed that into sort of doing a weird little acquisition of another IT company. It was cool. I built it up to a bunch of people and I helped a ton of people, but I never made any money. This was my first company.
Right.
I mean, I could barely pay the rent, but I usually did sometimes. But that was how it all started. And what I didn't realize this whole time is, I didn't know this then, but it's now, 15 companies later. That first decade of building companies, I didn't sell them for money. They always kind of just wound down. I was 25 when I started my first marketing company, which, equivalent to growth, because we were really good at marketing at my IT company. And that's because I ran it, I loved it, I studied it as a kid. And so I ended up doing that to help people. And now, that's kind of what my core work focuses on, is marketing and growth. Today, what's really funny, Rich, I know I just talked a long time, those carpets I used to clean and those drinks I used to serve at private parties in McLean, they invite me to their parties now.
You come full circle, my friend. That's awesome.
I'm like, did I clean that one? I think so, at like 7 a.m. on a Monday. And then I came back that evening in a tuxedo and served drinks. Just kidding. It usually wouldn't be the same day. But yeah, I guess I like made it, I guess. I mean, I still have about the same amount of money in my bank account because I just reinvested into all my companies. So
No, but what I love, Ashton, is that you come from grassroots. You understand the hard work ethic. You trained yourself, you applied things to yourself to learn and grow. And then you understood patterns and you understood, I mean, at the core of everything, you help people. And that's the most important part of what you're doing from what I see.
So do you.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
I
your
love
product
it.
does. Imagine how many hours you save founders, executives, managers. Imagine how much higher people's um closure rates are for whatever their form is doing because you make it easier for them. Like imagine how many more people have products or solutions or things at the end of those forms because of you. And building a company is allowing to bring that thing to more people. So
Yeah,
simple.
we used to talk about what we thought we were saving people in terms of time, and nobody would believe us that it was over 1 billion hours a year. So now it's about trees, how many trees we can plant and save based on how many forms are printed or not printed or generated, et cetera. So I want to know, I mean, you focus on growth, which I love this, that you're talking about. Just ask people what they want, give them what they want. That in itself, creating the right market fit, is one of the biggest linchpins to growth, right? But there's more to it, right? What else do you help companies do? And what techniques and processes do you use to create an excellent customer experience?
Let me boil down marketing and sales and growth to you in a single word. It's action. That's it. Like, so the question is, what I like to ask founders, executives, marketing leaders, and marketing leaders, the CMOs we work with are usually, they usually come prepared with this. This is kind of because they're already, they're making a big salary. They've been trained by a great university. They've been through a bunch of great companies, so they know what they're doing. But it's often, the smaller companies that are trying to get market share that don't recognize how simple this is, which is action. Like, how many actions are you taking a day? I like sales too. I like marketing. I like advertising. I like paid media. I like PR. I like anything that gets you in front of other people. And all you have to do is ask yourself, if I got in front of that person X times, how many Y conversions did I have on Z channel? Google ad, cold call, you holding a sign on the corner. Like, you just, like, we have to riffle through all these different tactics. The different, hang on, can I remember their name? Aaron Ross and Mary Lou Tyler wrote a book that I liberally borrow from. Thank you, you two, called Predictable Growth, Predictable Revenue. Predictable Revenue. And they say that there are spears, there are nets, and then there are seeds. You plant seeds for growth, you set nets to capture folks, and you throw spears to capture clients. And, I would encourage all founders, executive marketing leaders, newer marketing folks. Again, the CMO is already kind of ahead of us. That's why it's so hard to capture market share versus, the Fortune 500s. They're already doing all this. But like, how many actions did you take yesterday? Like last week? Like, how many spears did you throw? How many nets do you have set? How many seeds did you plant? This is a seed, Rich, this podcast. We're planting a seed.
That's right. Absolutely. It's funny because when I think about sales, and that's always been a struggle of mine, I'm a product guy. I love building great product. And yes, I think the cool products are cool too, but I always try to figure out, how do we improve sales? And what I've kind of come back to is, when you think about the hunters and the farmers, I feel like we're more fishermen, in the sense that we throw a lot of nets into a lot of ponds and we see what happens. We don't have any control if anything goes into the net. So I have partners that suddenly produce great sales that I didn't know about, or word of mouth that brings us something, or we went to a conference and 6 months later, somebody's calling us. So I'm really big at, I think, the seeds and the nets, but I don't know about the spears. So
yeah, building authentic spears is very wildly time consuming. But it works, but they work better if your spears are sharper. And one of the ways to sharpen your spear is not just to figure out the perfect message. It's also to figure out, one, how to help, and two, how to give. How are you helping? How are you giving? If you have a great product, it's going to spread by word of mouth. Your spears will sink deeper, although that's probably shouldn't throw spears at people and talk about sinking into them. That's kind of weird. But the other thing is, how are you helping? So here's my theory for sales and growth in 2023 is that once upon a time, when we were in the land of kings and queens, if a business leader, aka a king, wanted to do commerce with another business leader, AKA another king. They would send a procession or queen procession of men and women with gifts, with silk and gold and jewels and entertainment and music and food and wine and cheese. They'd throw a big party. And then they'd say, we would like to commence trade with you because we brought you all these gifts. So you're probably going to say yes, right? So what are we giving in these spears? I'm about to write an email to a friend of mine, and I'm going to say, hey, I love everything that you put together in your business deck, but we need two things. We need one, a newsletter that provides authentic value to the people to whom which you want to conduct business with. And I don't mean updates about who you hired this month because nobody cares. So we need a newsletter that caters to, that provides value, like mine. Everybody should sign up. Marketing Mishaps Monday. I interview marketing leaders and I say, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made and what did you do about it? And then I get people like the former CMO of Tushy on there and they tell us.
That's awesome.
Would you read that, Rich?
I'm going to. I didn't know you had it. I'm going to sign up today. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what am I doing? I'm investing hours of my time every week to provide value to other people. And I get like subscribers that I don't know all the time. I'm like HubSpot dings. And it's like some person you don't know has just decided that you get to be in their inbox. But what am I doing? I'm taking a raw material and transmuting it into a valuable little email and Medium article that helps other people not make the same mistakes that marketing leaders have made. So I'm going to ask my friend if we can build one of those for their company, and then we're going to build it and people that we don't know are going to sign up. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is a 1-hour consult you can do with somebody for no money that you do every time, that you can do half an hour post work with, that you put into a little document and you say, here you go. It helps them. It's not a proposal. You can say, if you want a proposal for us to do the things we're suggesting you do, you can say that we'll send them something with dollars on it. Now, how do I do that, Rich? Well, everybody who's listening to this, I will spend an hour with you. I don't care who you are, what you do, what your company is. I will spend an hour with you and provide my own experience around whatever your greatest challenge in marketing, business, growth, or your job. I don't care. Like I'll give you an hour of my time and we'll figure stuff out. I have a calendar link you can book me on, and I'm happy to give that. So just, do you want to hear a story about what happens when you do that, Rich?
Oh, I love this type of stuff. Absolutely.
So I say that to my friend Nino. Nino's amazing. I love Nino. So I got Nino Japardis. She's an amazing connector, an amazing human, and she heard me say that, and so she booked an hour of my time with a friend of hers, who's the founder of a fast growth ad tech company. The result of that meeting this week is that I have connected him to a company that specializes in B2B SaaS growth sales. They do sales. I've connected him to a marketing company that specializes in seed round, pre-seed, and friends and family stage companies that he's going to hire. I'm helping with that. I am an equity advisor for that company, so I will make money if you call me about that one. It's called the Upstart Factory. Not an equity advisor for the sales company. I don't know if it matters if I am or not anymore. It's all just helping. But and I reached out to an investor for his company because he's raising another $1.4 million to get to his seed round. And they're literally right now, they tried to call me on this podcast because they're so interested in his company. So that's because I'll give anybody. Now, tomorrow I might give somebody an hour who wants advice on, I actually mentor this high school aged entrepreneur. She is in high school, but she's like really into DECA, Niha. She's amazing. She's going to be the president one day. I mentor her every week for no money. Or it might be somebody who has a problem with their boss. I mean, I don't care. If I know stuff, you can have it.
Ashton, I'm gonna shed some light on what you're doing, because I've actually done this too. I would go present at an entrepreneur class in college, And at the end of my presentation, I would say, I invite every single one of you to call me up, ask me to go to lunch with you. I will pay for lunch. If you drive out to where I'm at, I will buy you lunch and I will spend 1 or 2 hours with you, talk about whatever you want to talk about. And then I turn around and say, but I also know maybe one of you will do that. So the truth is, you may have 1,000 people listen to this and only 1 or 5 or 10 actually do it, even though hundreds should do it because of the value they're going to get. That's awesome. It's such an intelligent thing. And I'm going to also say back something you said. I think what you're saying is with the spears is they should be gold tipped. They should be value. I mean, if you're going to throw them at somebody, give them the value of that spear when they collect it. So you mentioned one other thing. I'm going to shift gears on us a little bit. You said this is the day and age of 2023. Well, what else is happening in 2023 is AI, artificial intelligence. And when people are trying to connect more with their audience, with their prospects, et cetera, AI is becoming a crutch maybe. So I'm curious, how do you see AI impacting customer experience?
I think there's just so many ways to get to the finish line a lot faster. So many ways. This company that I'm helping to build for, because my current growth agency kind of specializes in companies like 10 plus million, like Series A plus. So I got tired of saying no to people. So now I'm helping a co-founder buddy build a company that supports all the people I had to say no to. We're like, oh, you're pre-seed, great, we can help. And we're using AI to make it so that we can help them in a way that is affordable to them. Because, you know, you only have so much money in a friends and family round and a pre-seed and a seed. And the more you spend, the shorter the runway, the less time you have to harden your product and, you know, get some cash in the door. So we're trying to speed that up for 2 reasons. One, so they can be a feeder to my company Model B. Really just to help them, because that's what we're doing. So what does AI do? It gets you there faster. I don't think it shortcuts. I don't think it's shortcut. Well, I guess that's what it is. It's a shortcut, but you have to know your destination. And what they say is, somebody very smart said this, whose name I forget. AI isn't going to replace you. The person who uses AI is going to replace you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I actually started this year by telling every employee on my team, one of your goals this year is to find an AI that will help you do your job better, faster, easier, because we're going to embrace this. I've talked to a lot of people. I really think there's only 2 companies going forward, those driven and powered by AI and those going out of business. Now, that may not affect the plumber. I don't know, because it's a hands-on business, but in our tech space, yeah, I see it that way.
Yeah. So I think the other thing that's going to happen with AI is the phrase Google it is going to be replaced with Chat GPT it.
For sure, right?
I know this because one of my teammates at Model B asked me yesterday. They were like, Ashton, we need to put a Facebook disclaimer up for like this new coalition we're launching. And I know we wrote one last year. Like, do you know where I can find it? I just go ask Chat GPT, and they go, whoa, that's a great idea. And then 2 minutes later, they have this whole, they're like, here it is. This is amazing. So what are we doing? We're saving time. Now on the topic of AI and saving time, I believe that if we were 30% more efficient and we put the productivity in the right place, nobody on this planet would be hungry. So I think Chat GPT is going to help us with that, but it's up to us to make sure that we take that time that we now have and we use it to produce value for other humans. Otherwise, or ourselves, or have a coffee. Like, but if we fill up that new time with more dead space, like with things that don't produce value, we're wasting what we've been given. We're wasting that gift. That'd be bad.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, as we wrap this up, I do have one more question for you. But before we get to that, what is the best way for people to connect with you? And you've mentioned some great resources. Maybe you want to repeat them.
Yeah. So actually the way to sneak onto my calendar, I know this is kind of meandering, but I haven't built like an ashtanmoore.com. By the way, Ashtan Moore, ASHTAN Moore. I'm like on everything. I've never posted on TikTok, but so probably not that one, but Instagram, LinkedIn. I have Facebook muted, so maybe not that one either. But if you want to book time with me, just search for medium.com/Ashtan Moore. or Marketing Mishaps Monday. And at the bottom of those blog piece or those interviews, there's actually a link to my calendar. And if you want to talk to me and do that hour that I talked about, seriously, I'll talk to anybody. Everybody's so interested. Rich, did you know that? So I'm trying to prove this. And so far I haven't been proven wrong. Everybody has something that is so unique, special, like that some experience they have, some glimmer of knowledge that if you dig it out of them, you're going to be better for that meeting. And so if you just get into a meeting and you listen at level 3, so there's 3 levels. Level 1 is when I'm waiting for my turn to speak. Level 2 is when I'm listening truly to the words that you're saying. And level 3 is when I'm listening so intently that I can hear between the lines, the stuff you're not saying. And if you do that for an hour with another human and your life isn't changed and improved in some way, listen harder, because I haven't been in a meeting yet where that hasn't been true.
No, nobody's going to prove you wrong on that. And I believe it's a core belief of mine for a long time that I can learn something from every single person that I connect with. I've learned a ton from you today. It's been amazing. So here's my last question. Who has had the biggest impact on your leadership or how you approach your role today?
I'm going to go ahead and cheat on this answer. And I'm going to have to say it's the Entrepreneurs Organization at large. And also YPO. I'm a spousal member at YPO. Now, I find it, I hate saying this, but I don't have a coach. I should have a coach. I tell everybody to get coaches. But I just write everything down every time I talk to somebody and they say something valuable. And I ask so many questions, and being in the Entrepreneurs Organization and being in YPO and getting to be around people who have done it before and just asking them questions and listening, it's incredible. Like how much it's changed everything I do. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there and say, find a community organization full of people who are the people that you want to become, and listen at level 3, and everything will become different, because you'll be asking people who have made it to the summit how they got there, and they'll be so happy to share, because once you're on the summit, you generally have a bunch of resources, like because you managed to climb that mountain and get up there and provide value to enough people one step at a time that you have cash flowing businesses and mailbox money. So those folks will take time for you and share how they got there. So look at that full circle, Rich. Just ask.
Just ask. That's amazing. So let's put in the full plug for Entrepreneurs Organization, because I'm a member, you're a member. This is how we met. You are in Washington, D.C. I'm in Austin, Texas. I mean, we've never met in person other than the Slack conversations and us saying, let's have a Zoom call. Let's talk to each other. And then come on the podcast. So yeah, I echo what you're saying. And if there's other entrepreneurs out there, look in your city. There's an Entrepreneurs Organization chapter near you, I'm sure. Hey, I want to say a big thank you to Ashtan Moore, CEO of Model B, for being on this episode of The Customer Wins. Go check out Ashtan's website at modelb.com. That's B as in Bravo. And don't forget to check out Quick at quickforms.com, where we take the work out of paperwork. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion, and we'll click the like button, share this with someone, and even subscribe to our channel for future episodes of The Customer Wins. Ashtan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Wait, just to close it, my mom, I found out, listens to all my podcasts. Hi, Mom, I love you.
Nice.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Wins podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.